Hey harmonizers, welcome to King's first Extreme Cowboy Race. We were pretty excited to come here. I already showed you guys the videos of Newton, so here is Mr. King going off at his canter, coming through. I was really happy because look at that, the curtains flapping by. We come in on that right lead canter, make a little simple change here to get our left lead canter. There's all sorts of stuff going on. There's this big giant orange tarpy bannery thing up here. There's the curtain and everything, and so we come down and there's a flag obstacle, and I go in to grab it and I just kind of catch him off guard. It moves and he kind of has a little bit of a startle. So not the end of the world. If you remember back on King's first offsite obstacle experience where we were schooling, he was just so kind of nervous that it took him a long time just to be able to even walk over poles relaxed. So to be able to come in and canter right away, and then I pick up that flag, and you can see that even though he kind of startled at it at first, I waved it around. I wanted to make sure he was super calm and quiet with it. I wave it around a little bit more. Just because I'm trying to make sure that he's feeling really relaxed with it. And when I came into this round, I'm really not trying to win this particular competition. I'm trying to make sure that my horse has a really good experience and that he gets really quiet with all of the obstacles and does the best that he can do. For the trot pulls, come in and over, he does those really nicely. And then we come into this little thread the needle thing, which he actually trotted in really well. I kind of expected him to maybe stop or something there because it's a really funny looking obstacle, but he actually did it really easily. Come out our little trot. We're going to come into our side pass now, which I wasn't really expecting any issues here. He does his sideways really nicely, and that's something that we practice, is going sideways, two different things, so no big deal at all. We side pass over, get the item out of the mailbox. Easy peasy. Coming off of that, we go over to this maypole obstacle where you grab the string, and originally I thought that I would probably be able to just trot this whole thing, but steering one-handed, getting him to go in between was proving a little bit challenging, and we did trot and kind of jump over, and then I had to transition to walk kind of just to get that tight turn, and again to get that tight turn. So tried to trot those little circles, but we'll have to work on doing things that tight one-handed. Made it a little bit tricky. Coming into the curtain, total piece of cake. We just trot through that, and I was so happy with that. How brave he was with that was really awesome. Pick up the little basket here, and he's looking at, so on this bridge there's a piece of like fake grass, so he's looking at that and it's different, and then we're having to do this one-handed because we're holding a basket in the other hand, which makes it that much more challenging. And I am allowing him to sniff and kind of give it a go, and he goes onto the bridge, and then there's a little mat, like a shoe mat, that has water in it, and so he looks at that and he's like, oh, I don't know about stepping down into it. And the shoe mat is black, so it kind of looks like there's this dark hole in the obstacle. And so part of me is thinking, okay, like he could just like jump across it, which he nearly does there. And remember, we only have 30 seconds to make progress on an obstacle, otherwise you'll get whistled off of it. So I'm like, okay, I need to make a decision here. I'm like trying to be supportive, but I know that I'm going to get whistled off of this obstacle. So I thought about, do I get rid of this stupid basket? What do I do with this thing? So I thought I'll bring him around and we'll just go across the black thing and get him to step across that. So he does go across it. So I'm like, okay, well, that's better than nothing. Luckily, at the end of the day, I didn't realize that we would be allowed to do this. We brought him back in hand when everything was all done, and he did walk across it a couple times. He just stepped over it, though. He's like, I'm not stepping in this little thing. And I think I finally got him to put a foot in it and called it a day. And then we come over to this gate, which gates are no problem for him. He's really good at gates, but he starts to kind of look at the hula skirt that's on it. And I think what we're kind of looking at here is a little bit of what's called trigger stacking. So he's still a little bit upset from the black shoe mat, which was very scary. And so then he's just not giving me 110% brain power here, or not even 100% brain. I shouldn't even say 110, but he's not giving me full focus here because he's still a little bit distracted about what just happened. So he's not really listening when I'm asking him to go sideways over. He's not doing anything awful. He's just kind of like, I don't really want to do this. So I go two-handed for a second and I bump him off of my leg and I'm like, hey, you need to give me your brain power. Go sideways over to this thing. Now, if I was trying to win this competition or place well in this competition, I would just forget that and I would continue on because I'm not going to earn any extra marks for completing this obstacle at this point. I've already dropped it and all I'm doing is burning time. And in Extreme Cowboy Racing, the faster you go, the more bonus marks you get, the more marks you get at the end of the time. But I'm here to school King and make sure that he does well with all of the obstacles. So I wanted to make sure I finished the obstacle and he picked it up and he did just great there. And then here, our obstacle is to pick up both feet, which he does really nicely. I do 2 feet. I decided to do the 2 front feet and pick them up from the same side, so I didn't have to switch sides. And then we lead out at the trot. So overall, I thought he did super fantastic. The things that he had trouble with were really not that, bad. Like he didn't react in a really bad or scary way or anything like that, and ended up finishing on a positive. So we rode a little bit around the farm. There is really beautiful grounds, and then packed up for the day after we went back in at the end of placings, and he was able to go and just walk over those couple obstacles, which he did super awesome. So I'm feeling really good about him. We definitely need to practice more water boxes and more water entry things, but we will have lots of time to do that. And so far, I think we're on the path to Kentucky in a good way.